Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. Now, we are a little bit later than originally planned. You can blame gremlins in the system for that, but we're here now and I'm delighted to say we've got Stephen Corwood from Motor Connect on the show. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks very much for bearing with us, and you're here now and I'm delighted that you're here because it's going to be fascinating to hear a little bit more about your business. Just for a little bit of background for people tuning in, Stephen owns Motor Connect as a used car business based in Norwich, which he founded in April 2018. Now, it's fair to say the business made its mark pretty quickly, actually, because it won a highly commended at the Car Dealer Magazine Used Car Awards in 2018. Now, on this Friday afternoon, we're going to be finding out a little bit more about the business, how trading has been, and Stephen's plans for the future. Now, we're going to be discussing all of that in the next 20 to 30 minutes. If you've got a question you want answering, do please pop it into the comments box and I'll do my best to ask it to Stephen. Okay, Stephen, well, let's get cracking then. Lovely to have you on. For people who are maybe unaware of the business, can you just give us an idea of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so Motor Connect was formed, as you say, April 2018. Before that, I was a part owner in a more car finance orientated dealership for 4.5 years, to which I sold my shareholding in. Background to that was actually for one of the big players, Arnold Clark, and bits and pieces in between as we do in the trade. But yeah, so Motor Connect was born in 2018 with a great site and a great opportunity that came at the right time for me. So we started off with quite a bit of knowledge already within the industry and a direction and processes that we could follow. And as you say, we got off to a pretty good start. We made a bit of a name for ourselves fairly quickly, and we like to think that we do a good job in the services we provide. So yeah, that's basically it.
So I always admire people setting up their own business. It's something that I don't think I could do, let alone setting up a car dealership. What made you do it? Is it presumably because you've had a history in the trade? You've probably thought, I can do that. I can do a better job than everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, for me, I don't know any different. I grew up in the trade. I grew up around business as such. My grandfather had a property company. My other grandparents had a fruit and veg shop, and my dad was in the motor trade. He was in top car sales. So that's going back to the 80s when I was born in the 80s. And I was attending auctions from early 90s. So for me, I didn't really know any different. Sort of got involved in the family business and decided that I needed to go my way. Went into, as I say before, Arnold Clark, which was a great grounding and a great place to learn the trade with some fantastic people within that business and a great infrastructure, which then obviously leads on to my thought process. Probably early doors was that I was heading towards working for myself and putting the work in the background to make that happen, and quite a lot of sacrifice along the way. So yeah, for me, it was something that I was probably wanting to do from an early age. Being a car dealer, it's in my blood really. So outside of when I knew I could never make it as a footballer or a golfer or anything like that, there was no other choice for me. So yeah, so that's essentially the route that it took. It was more of a natural course for me to go down that route.
Yeah. Now I think that's lovely that you're. I can sort of not picture the scene because that sounds a bit weird, but I can sort of envisage you being in the auction rooms when you're young and getting the buzz, because I mean, especially for that's what you say there is something which lots of people say is they get the bug for the car trade, for the motor trade at a young age. Yep. In the auction rooms, because that is where it's at its most raw and its most pure, isn't it?
It definitely was at its most raw, certainly in the early 90s, because there was some great characters, for a young lad. It was quite an environment that was you sort of got chucked into, and I just enjoyed going. So it sort of sticks with you. We've tried, we've looked at other things in the past, but as everyone says, once you're in the trade, you're in the trade. But I enjoy it. I love it. So that helps.
So give me an idea of the site that you're currently on, and the the numbers of cars in a normal year, not in coronavirus year, obviously, but the number of cars that you tend to sell every year.
Yeah, so we're in a fortunate position with the site that we took. We took the site on purpose because we've got room for growth. We generally it was just over 1,000 cars last year that went through the premises. We generally stock between 60-70 retail vehicles. We're actually really low down on that number at the minute, as are a lot of other dealers at the moment. We've made some changes with what we're doing around that as well. But yeah, so we can actually hold probably 140, 150 on the site that we've got. I was in a very fortunate position throughout lockdown that all of my stock is paid for. I'm in a fortunate position where I've got nothing borrowed. And we sort of made plans leading up to lockdown, knowing that these things were coming. So we had an ABC type plan. And obviously cash flow is king. So we didn't expose ourselves. We sort of scaled it back 2 weeks before March 23rd on our buying, our traditional routes of buying. And we were really just buying stuff that was coming right for us. We made sure money was still in the bank and we had that cash flow available. And like I say, we were in a good position. We were just looking at growth options and funding options at that moment in time. We did some refurb on site. We spent quite a lot of money that we reinvested back into site. We reinvested quite heavily in training all our staff as well on a 3-year program. So we've got longevity in mind. The reason we didn't explode any further with our stock holding was we wanted to get our processes right. And we actually got our stock turn to a 30-day stock turn, which was one of our key components to making sure that we were being right with everything we were doing process, and we were a process-driven business that was making and maximizing every opportunity that we had. So we got to that, and I was comfortable then to go and say, I'll take some liability on, and then COVID hits. So
yeah. Well, one look on your website, and you tend to stock everything really. I mean, at the moment you've got a Toyota Auris right up to a 996 911 turbo. It's a nice broad mixture of cars. Explain to me your customer base. Who do you tend to talk to?
We are in a position where if people know where our site is, we've got some of the big boys around the corner. We've got Car Supermarket just around the corner from us, and we've got the likes of your Arnold Clarks, Evans Halshaws, Holcrofts and stuff like that. So we have to sometimes differentiate. So we will carry some stock that they are carrying, but predominantly we don't. And we do that on purpose, because if anyone wants something different, they want maybe a German vehicle, whatever it may be, they'll come to us. We're not having to fight that one price position, but also a massive conglomerate of dealership groups that are out there with a lot of power. So it gives us our niche in a way. We are changing a little bit with our stock profile at the moment, alongside our acquisition of stock. Like many, I think we haven't bought a car out of auctions since pre-lockdown. So in fact, one of the large auction companies were on to me last week asking me why. It's quite self-explanatory. So we've changed some internal bits for that, and we're heavy, obviously, in digital marketing. We've just got a new digital marketing manager that's come on board with us. 3-hour strategy session yesterday with him for different parts of the business that we're looking at. So for us, it's about being different and not putting ourselves in the same boat as some of the big boys that have got that power to overhaul us. And it seems to work well for us, if I'm being honest.
No, I like that approach really, because it doesn't matter. You can be the best car dealer in the world, but if you've got a big dealer group around the corner or a car supermarket, the fact of the matter is that a customer is going to be, they're going to be weighing both sides up, aren't they? And like you say, the bigger brands have got more leverage. They can cut their prices to keep that customer. What's the point in doing business, going up against, brands like that? You try and offer something different, and you're going to talk to your own customers then, aren't you?
Yeah, we end up in a price battle, especially in aggregated sites that we use. We're in a pricing battle. We need to cut that margin to be in front of them if we're in that arena with the same kind of stock, which is obviously going to hit our PPU. So, for us to be outside of what they're doing makes it a little easier. They get footfall, they drive traffic, they've got customers from years and years and years, and however much data they've got there to use, to lean on, we haven't got. So for us, the way for us to differentiate and remain with good PPUs is to find our stock portfolio that's different. And that's a very challenging thing for us to do, and we're constantly battling against it, especially in today's market, as you know, the way it is. So
let's talk about today's market. And how are you struggling to source stock at the moment? Like you say, you had one auction company on the phone to you saying, why aren't you buying any cars from us? So how's it been for you?
It's been tough. To be honest, we came back in May. We were obviously working in online environments since lockdown. We came back in the start of May with just under 50% of our staff back in, and we had a pent-up in demand. We had online orders that we had to go out. We bought a transporter to deliver nationally, a new transporter, so we could do what we needed to do. We didn't expect the result that we had in May. We were staying strong without buying at any cost of just filling spaces. We have the luxury, as you know, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have to fill them spaces because we're not paying on borrowed. So I was quite fortunate in that respect. However, May saw us probably drop 20-30 vehicles in normal stock carry, which for us is quite a number. Coming towards the end of May, it was quite evident that the traditional paths for us were going to become expensive, and we changed what we did internally to go hunting for stock rather than using the traditional path. So that's worked well for us, but it's replaced what we're selling weekly. It's not topped up our deficit yet, but it will do once we've done some internal stuff that we need to make sure that them processes are working and our leads are being nurtured the way we want on people looking to sell their vehicles. So it's worked well. We're acquiring better stock, and we're getting good margin. We just need to finalize a few bits and pieces, and it's been working well for us. It's actually given us an opportunity in the trade arena as well, being honest, because we have been buying some of this stock that would be car supermarket stock, and for us, we've stuck with the plan. We've traded it, and we've traded it at profit. So we're going to continue with that, and just try and exploit it as much as we can. Yeah.
We one story which we're following a lot with interest at the moment is this story of dealers are buying stock, particularly from auction houses, and yet they can't get the cars actually physically delivered to their dealerships at the moment. And there's this huge frustration at the moment because the supply chain can't keep up.
Yeah, that was
what are you seeing? And are you looking on that with frustration, or or what?
Yeah, that was my conversation last week, and that was one of the main reasons for us. As I mentioned earlier, for us, cash flow is king. It's not cash; it's cash flow. We've got to keep that cash flowing. We're buying cars today out of auctions. We've got 4 to 7 days now to see them vehicles. So that's 4 to 7 days out of my stock turn. We then get them to site. We've then got pre-preparation processes that we go through. We also only buy assured. So if we've got issues with assured stock, that's an issue at the moment. You know, there's a backlog. You know, that vehicle could be sat with us for 4 to 6 weeks. For us, that's no good. So overnight type thing that comes into my head is, right, this is what we're doing, we're actioning it now, all hands to the pump, make sure that we're creating some campaigns, we're using digital, and this is how we're going hunting, and that's what we've done.
Yeah. What generally speaking, what would you say the quality of used cars are going through at the moment? Are they good quality, or are people paying over the odds for, you know, pretty standard, possibly poor quality stock?
Yeah, I logged in early days coming out of lockdown, and there was some stupid prices, really, really stupid prices in my mind of what people were paying for stock, and for stock that required attention. Again, for us, we try and minimise as much of that as possible because that hits our stock turn. For us, stock turn's paramount. It's continued to do that. I haven't even bothered logging in now for 2 weeks. There's not much point in me having a look. I'm obviously in conversation throughout the market with other dealers that I speak to on a regular basis. I'm lucky, you know, I surround myself with some, you know, or I chat to some great dealers in our space. And I'm getting feedback all the time. And for me at the minute, it's just not a feasible opportunity for us. We need to capitalise and monetize really on what we're actually doing at the moment. So it's very difficult, I think, from an auction perspective. It's got to level out, I think, at some point. Physical auctions, we don't really know when that's going to happen, but I can see the reason why it's getting delayed from one side more than the other. But I'm sure it'll level out, but I'm hoping at that point that we're probably leveled out with our acquisition trail, and we might not, I never say never, but you know, if we can acquire our stock in other ways, then at the minute that's what we're looking to do. Yeah.
Now, I was talking to a big supplier yesterday, and they were saying how they think this is going to be here for quite some time, this supply chain issue, which is deeply worrying, really. But sort of looking ahead, are you confident that things are going to get better? Do you think the demand for used cars is still going to be there? I mean, what's your view?
Well, the demand has obviously been very high since we've come back. I think everybody that you speak to has had a good time of it. The majority of people have had a good time of it anyway. I think there's going to be some changes. I think there's going to be some people in the market that may decide that their time's up. They've done their job. That leaves opportunity for us. We're a young company. We're not looking at any way to contract at the moment. We're looking at growing. We've still got growth plans. They're pretty harsh growth plans, and we haven't really moved on that for the rest of 2020. The only thing that we have looked at is that we need to obviously be cautious with decisions that we do make. However, that isn't going to hold us back from moving forward. We are looking at more staff and other opportunities that are out there at the moment. So I do think that it is still looking strong. I think we've seen definitely a peak. It's whether we see that V or we see that W that everyone keeps talking about. You know, furloughs coming towards an end. You know, where does that leave with redundancies in the economy? People's, you know, ability to want to buy. Where does that leave us with our stock profile? What shouldn't we be buying? You know, so we've just got to make sure that we're keeping on top of that. And for us, we watch it daily. We can adapt. We're an independent company. We can adapt today. I can make a phone call in a minute and everything changes. We haven't got to go to the board. So that's one of the biggest advantages I feel that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, no, very good point. There seem to be a few trends going on at the moment. One of which is cars costing less than £10,000. And then at the other end of the market, cars costing 70, 80, 90,000 pounds seem to be doing very well. And then amazingly, in the middle, MPVs seem to be making a bit of a return to popularity. Have you seen any trends recently, or is it just business as usual?
Yeah, we've seen it. We've definitely seen some of that. We've sort of, as you can tell from, like you say, with our stock profile, we've got quite a range in there. We've seen some of the higher end stuff, especially around Porsche, and Mercedes has done quite well for us as well. But Porsche, we've done very well with. You know, we sold a Cayman a couple of weeks, a Cayenne a couple of weeks ago. That was 69 grand.
Not cheap.
Not cheap, but you know, person, and it wasn't a difficult deal for us, if that makes sense. Yeah. So we are seeing that towards that end. I think there's people that are secure in their jobs. They have been. There's a lot of people that have made hay while the sun's shining in this situation as well. There's a lot of opportunity that's come out of it, and also I think that people are coming out of it with some of the attitude of, well, you know what, I'm going to go for it now because of all this that's gone on. I want what I want, and there is caution then going from 10 grand down. You know, so you have got people coming out of something newer and going into something older. It's just trying to balance exactly where we need to be at the minute. And like I say, it's a daily challenge for us. That's why you'll see a bit of split and a bit of change in that stock profile. We've got more stock, like I say, in there that that's not even listed on our site at the minute because we're just putting it to trade because it just demographically for us, or geographically as well, it doesn't suit.
Yeah.
And we're doing well with that. So I think across the board it's fairly solid. MPV, SUVs have been good again, like you say. You know, certainly price range Qashqai Sportages, we could do with a few of them, but not a lot of complaints.
Good.
Different acquisitions of inquiry level, I've noticed, because we've had to push the boundaries. It's accelerated us by 18 months to where we were putting our plan over 3. But it's working well. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like you said earlier on, because you're a young independent company, you're more reactive to trends. You can react more quickly. And you know, if something else takes off, you can focus on that part of the market. Whereas the bigger brands, the guys who have been around for a long time may not be quite so willing or able to actually be so flexible.
Definitely, there's a lot more going on in the background for them guys, and that's understandable. They've got a lot more red tape, and they've got a lot more people to please and stuff like that. So, yeah, for us, it's an opportunity to show some growth. That's our thought process on it, anyway.
Yeah. Just one other point about one other question about lockdown. So you were obviously doing click and collect or reservations over the phone. How was that for you? Did it come naturally? Did you enjoy doing business like that, or didn't you like doing it?
No, it came naturally. We were in the online arena for probably 18 months with our Click Engage product anyway. It accelerated our national coverage. We changed our messaging in terms of the way we displayed our adverts. You know, we made it very apparent to people that we were doing national delivery. And for us, it actually worked really well. And I think obviously you can see what's going on out there in the market with online at the moment. For us, it worked well. It still is working well. We've seen a little bit more people wanting to do the click and collect as opposed to when we first came back doing the click and deliver. But for us, it was great. We don't have sales people tied up individually with people in front of them for a certain amount of time. So productivity level was actually going up because they weren't tied down for 2 to 3 hours with somebody sat in front of them. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. We know where it's headed. Plenty of coverage from you guys on it as well, and it's going that way. So.
Yeah, Good, good. I just want to talk a bit more about digital, really, because you go on your website, you've got a blog element to it. I hear that you've started up a Facebook group as well during lockdown. So you're obviously aware of the social tools and the digital tools out there for dealers to talk to customers. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So lockdown, obviously, we come up with loads of different bits and pieces, but from an independent dealer's point of view, sometimes it's a lonely world for anybody in business. But independent dealers, obviously, the IMDA do a great job for us as well. And I spoke to Umesh and also David Billsborough. But so we started a group on Facebook, Motor Trade Talk, and that was more for a case of collaboration. Not that it's not already there, but just in a different way, for dealers, or whether they had body shops, doesn't matter, to be able to talk to each other and spin ideas. It's just under 1,000 people in that group, I think, at the minute, just under 900. But it was great. And I think collaboration is probably a key word for what needs to happen moving forward. Being car dealers, we've always played our cards close to our chest. But I think from what we've seen through COVID, it's actually done us really good to be able to actually openly talk to each other and pick the phone up a bit more. And I think that will bring opportunity moving forward.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. This is one of the reasons why Car Dealer Lives have been so popular, is that people actually, at times of crisis like this, they actually like to talk to people more, and just sharing tips and advice. And I totally agree with you. Last question, Stephen. If you could go back to 2018, I know it's not too long ago, but I'm sure many things have changed since 2 years ago. If you could go back to then when you were starting out and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Sometimes you approach with a little bit more caution than what you do. I mean, I was in a fortunate position that I'd started a company before, and that company was successful. So I was in a better position than I was when I started that. But one thing for me is sometimes it gets tough, and sometimes you feel like you're getting nowhere and you can go missing for a couple of days. I've not done that for a long time. I stay with it and pick the phone up, collaborate, speak, and watch and educate. I've educated myself more over the last 2 years than I ever have done. I read books a lot more. I do sales training the same as my staff. I do everything. They do training every single day. I do it as well. And I start my day with that. So education for me has been more paramount, even though, we don't know it all. We're still learning. There's little bits and pieces to sharpen up on. For us, keep an eye on what's going on out there, trying to adapt in a small way to keep up with the market trend. That's the hardest thing for us, but just keep plowing ahead, keep going. Don't give it up.
Brilliant. Fantastic way to end. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. And well, we're going to have to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately. So next week, we've got logistics are back on Monday. We're going to be talking a little bit more about furlough and asking questions, anything you've got in mind. So if you've got a question you want to put to logistics, do get in touch with us. On Wednesday, we've got Matt Cleveley from Cleveley Motors and Cleveley EV. And on Friday, we're going to be talking to the Scottish Motor Trade Association. Now, if you want to be on something, or if you want to be on Car Dealer Live just like this one, then please do get in contact with me. My email is james.batchel@blackbullmedia.co.uk or jamesbaggett@james@blackbullmedia.co.uk. We've also set up WhatsApp groups, not like the Facebook group, which Stephen set up, but WhatsApp groups for all the latest breaking news headlines. If you want the link to one of those, please do get in contact. And that just leads me to say thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.